In an age of instant gratification, still bottled water provided what people needed, exactly when they needed it.
People in general are more and more time-pressed. We don't cook our own meals anymore. We eat prepared foods of all kinds. And there's nothing more appealing than a bottle of cold water at a moment when you're really thirsty. Cold water is, in fact, deeply satisfying when you're thirsty. But I think bottled water is one of those products that on many occasions when people buy it, what they're buying isn't the water so much as the bottle. That is, the package and the convenience at that moment.
And when we bought this convenience, what we were really buying was PET, or polyethylene terephthalate, the single most important innovation in the industry's history. Strong, shatterproof, and a highly valued form of polyester, PET is a byproduct of the oil industry. It is now utilized in the packaging of everything from pharmaceuticals and soap to ready meals. In years to come, the environmental impact of PET would haunt the industry and raise questions about its very survival. But in the 1990s, this was a revolution.
Starting with the introduction of the PET waters, the category started to explode. The bottled water industry before PET was essentially on the list of all beverage categories was number 7. With the advent of PET, bottled water jumped from the number 7 to the number 2 spot behind carbonated soft drinks. It started to grow in the 2 billion, 3 billion range every year, phenomenally high growth rates.
And these growth rates were yet further enhanced by the industry's persuasive arguments that they, unlike tap water, were selling us the taste of natural purity.
The argument of the industry, of course, is that they're simply satisfying a need. They're meeting a demand, that the public demands bottled water, and if the public didn't demand it, then they wouldn't make that product. And that's partly true, but demand is manufactured for things, and demand is manufactured for bottled water.
Keep your body at its peak.
In the late 1980s, the French brand Evian recognized the growing health and fitness trend and exploited it to the full.
Evian was sold as a beautiful person's drink. The early Evian ads featured absolutely gorgeous people working out or just after working out in their skin-tight, sweaty clothes. And so it was a way of saying, if you want to be fit, if you want to be healthy, if you want to be attractive, drink Evian. And by drinking Evian, you will be those things.
And more. Bottled water, following the Evian lead, became the indispensable prop of gym life, while healthy hydration became the buzzword. Pure, clean bottled water now symbolized the healthy life we were all encouraged to lead. And as bottles of water became a part of our everyday shopping list, the World Health Organization gave the industry a gift from heaven.
The World Health Report was the first public document showing that drinking water is very important and was a key contributing factor into starting the health trend and helping bottled water businesses increase its growth.
What the World Health Report estimated was that it was normal for men and women to drink approximately 2 liters of water a day. A variation on these estimates then became guidelines that are still used to this day.
When we see recommendations which say you should drink 1 or 2 litres of water a day, it's important to remember that that includes all the water that comes in food and indeed the water that we get in drinks other than pure water. So the water that's in tea and coffee, even the water that's in sugary drinks, is all going to count towards that overall target.
To make the guidelines more palatable, they were turned into the easy-to-remember mantra of 8 glasses a day.
Many bottled water producers took the guidelines and translated them into the rather simpler 8 glasses a day message, which they hoped would have the same sort of weight as the 5 fruit and vegetable portions a day message from government guidelines, so that really consumers had an easy reference point for healthy hydration.
But whether these 8 glasses should be consumed from the tap or the bottle was left open to question by everyone except the bottled water industry.
The bottled water companies have capitalized on that notion that you needed 8 cups of water a day very aggressively. They've used that as a way of saying not just that you probably might need 8 glasses of water a day to be healthy. But if you're going to drink 8 glasses a day, you might as well drink the best water. And so they've used it as an edge to take a dig at tap water.
Linking a healthy life with the drinking of bottled water has become the key marketing strategy in the industry's armory.
Your life. La vida fluye en familia.
Most recently, Evian's sister brand Volvic, also owned by the multinational Danone, has targeted the message at a group that they felt were not listening. They were called men.
So welcome to my Volvic challenge. I've got to drink 1.5 litres a day for 14 days. Now that's a lot of water, but if it makes me feel better, then I'll give it a bash.
Ce qu'on a voulu faire, c'est faire comprendre au consommateur qu'il est très important pour lui de renouveler l'eau de son corps. Même si vous n'avez pas soif, vous devez boire, vous devez régénérer, vous devez changer l'eau que vous avez dans votre corps. Donc c'est une expression marketing pour expliquer une vraie réalité médicale.
Volvic's drinking challenge worked, and in the UK alone, sales of Volvic increased by over 25% over the period of the promotion. New consumers flocked to the brand, and some of them were men. The link between bottled water and the health and wellness movement was a marriage made in heaven.
Every time it rains, pennies from heaven.
Between 1990 and the turn of the century, global sales doubled from 50 billion to over 100 billion litres a year.
Bottled water is the most revealing substance for showing us how the global capitalist market works today. It tells us that we're no longer buying things for their use value. That, in a sense, we're buying choice. We're buying freedom. We're buying all kinds of insubstantial things.
For some of us, choice and freedom is worth the price we pay. But for others, it represents the excess and inequality of the modern world. A world where nearly 1 billion people have no access to clean water at all.
One thing we cannot lose sight of is the ultimate absurdity of the bottled water industry. Here we have a world where people are dying of thirst, where people lack clean water to feed their children, and we're spending billions of dollars and huge amounts of energy moving water from people who already have it to other people who already have it.
But as our consumer attitudes changed, the criticism of the industry only intensified. At the heart of the matter was what bottled water was actually made of: oil and water, the world's 2 most precious resources in one neat package.
If you take all the oil that goes into making the bottles, and then you add in the oil that it takes to move the water into bottling plants and then to distribution centers, and then take the oil that is used sending trucks around to pick up all the empties, it is the equivalent of filling each bottle of water 1/5 of the way with oil. But bottled water has a water footprint as well as a carbon footprint. On average, it takes 3 liters of water to make every 1 liter of water that goes on a shelf. And that other water goes into making the bottles, into cooling the machinery at the plant, and into washing the bottling plant.
In the last few years, we're beginning to see a backlash against bottled water, a real perception that bottled water may not be necessary, that it may have environmental liabilities that we want to deal with. And for the first time in decades, the sales of bottled water have started to drop. And I think they've started to drop because people are increasingly aware of the liabilities of bottled water, of the alternatives to bottled water, of the economic costs of bottled water.
With these questions refusing to disappear in the West, and with the growth rates of the past a distant memory, the multinationals are now concentrating their efforts in the emerging world. Asia and South America have become the new targets for market domination. History is repeating itself in the world's emerging markets. Here, the global multinationals are utilizing some of the same strategies and techniques that have worked so successfully in the West. This is a market that is continuing to grow beyond all expectations.
As Mark Twain said, the news of my demise has been greatly exaggerated. I think that's an appropriate way of looking at what's happening with water. The need for water won't go away. The need for purity won't go away. The need for convenience won't go away. This product is just perfect.
So remember, have a drink.
By branding and marketing water, it has been transformed from a resource that many of us took for granted into a product that now makes billions for global multinational companies. But like all products, its success is driven by our demand.
Bottled water is the perfect late 20th, early 21st century product. It has become an indispensable prop in the way people present themselves. In fact, people are so attached to their water, you would think we were all dying of thirst. Everybody goes everywhere with a drink.
Years ago, priests, shaman, magicians blessed water, manipulated water, and gave it power. Today, it's corporations, government, celebrities, brands. But still, in the middle, you have a thirsty person trying to make a choice about what to drink.
Over 40 years, bottled water has become a staple of the global market economy, feeding our insatiable demand for choice and convenience. From its yuppie beginnings with Perrier, it has capitalized on the health and wellness movement before emerging as the lifestyle accessory of our age. A market has been created for a product that we never even knew we needed.
Isn't the water so much as the bottle? That is, the package and the convenience at that moment.
And when we bought this convenience, what we were really buying was PET, or polyethylene terephthalate, the single. In an age of instant gratification, still bottled water provided what people needed, exactly when they needed it.
People in general are more and more time pressed. We don't cook our own meals anymore. We eat prepared foods of all kinds. And there's nothing more appealing than a bottle of cold water at a moment when you're really thirsty. Cold water is, in fact, deeply satisfying when you're thirsty. But I think bottled water is one of those products that on many occasions when people buy it, what they're buying.
In years to come, the environmental impact of PET would haunt the industry and raise questions about its very survival. But in the 1990s, this was a revolution.
Starting with the introduction of the PET waters.
The most important innovation in the industry's history. Strong, shatterproof, and a highly valued form of polyester, PET is a byproduct of the oil industry. It is now utilized in the packaging of everything from pharmaceuticals and soap to ready meals.